The honey badger has been referred to by the Guinness Book of World Records as the most fearless animal in all of the animal kingdom. It really doesn't give a shit.
No, he doesn't. The Mellivora capensis is a feisty little animal that runs the deserts, plains, mountains, or whatever environment it inhabits. And in case you were unaware, the modern pride of Australia in Formula One identifies his spirit animal as the honey badger. Like the creature controls its environment, Daniel Ricciardo likes to say, "I run these streets," in his natural habitat of Monaco. And while confidence may seem natural, he says it wasn't always this way. Daniel Joseph Ricciardo is... yes, he is from the land of Oz. No, not that Oz, this Oz. Australia. Specifically, Daniel was born on the 1st of July, 1989 in the city of Perth on the west coast. In addition to now having houses in both Monaco and Beverly Hills, Danny Rick still has a home near his childhood area of Duncraig, featuring a ranch, underground garage, Olympic pool, and this sick parkour course. And then, if you hear me pronouncing the name Ricciardo at any point and think, that's incorrect, it should be Ricciardo. Well, you're sort of correct. Growing up in English-speaking Australia, Daniel's family removed the Italian influence from his name's pronunciation for simplicity's sake. But the familiar ties to Italy do run deep. The Ricciardo patriarch is Giuseppe Joe Ricciardo. Originally hailing from Ficara in Messina, Italy, Giuseppe's family moved to Australia when he was 7 years old. Joe met his wife, built a career, and raised his family in the city of Perth. Daniel has said that his father has more racing DNA than himself, and to this day is still better at heel-toe shifting than he. Giuseppe has had a passion for classic cars and is also a hobby racer. He has been financing small racing ventures for the last 40 years, often participating in races at a track north of Perth, Barbagallo Raceway, now known as Wanneroo Raceway. He would race sports cars and Alfa Romeos, or different versions of open-wheeled formula. His hobby racing has seen a resurgence in the last 10 years as he's been participating in Formula Ford or Formula Classic Championship races, often driving a Van Diemen or Brabham BT6. Giuseppe has helped fund his racing, take care of his family, and assisted in his son's career through the operation of his own business. Joe runs an earth-moving business known as Ricciardo Earthmoving. They provide commercial, residential, and industrial earthworks as well as engineering contractors. While Daniel was growing up, his father accidentally exposed him to the racing world. And in addition to driving Daniel around for karting, his father would help pay for some of Daniel's racing and living expenses early in his career. He would also help create sponsor opportunities for his son. He feels like the time and financial investment in his children is always worth it. Daniel's father is not his only Italian connection. His mother Grace was born in Australia, but her family is from Casignana in Calabria, Italy. While her husband participated in races, Grace would take Daniel and his older sister Michelle to the track to watch. This helped influence his young interest in racing. Both parents tried to steer him away from motorsports. They knew how tough of a love it was due to his father's inability to make a career out of his hobby. Nevertheless, they supported Daniel when he wanted to try it for himself. Grace has always been a big source of emotional support for Daniel. She always attended any of his races or other sporting games. People who know Grace say Daniel got his big bright smile from her, as well as influencing some of his musical tastes. Grace tries to keep her family's focus off of racing. She says watching Daniel race generally makes her nervous with excitement, so she understands the value in how shutting off that part of life and just being able to relax and smile, stress-free as a family, is really important. Any fan who is familiar with Danny Rick knows how much he values his family. He has always been close with his sister Michelle and his parents, and realizes how much effort and support they have always put into him. However, originally they did not want Daniel involved in motorsports. He was always athletic, always a daredevil, playing sports, riding bikes, and just generally being active. But he also loved to search the TV for races and read any motorsports magazines left lying around the house. Some of his boyhood heroes came from sports from the United States of America. One that particularly inspired him was American basketball star Michael Jordan. He even had a quote on the wall of his bedroom, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." This is a quote that Daniel still likes to implement in his current racing and life philosophy, but this attitude is not something Daniel always had. Even though his parents tried to turn him away, they eventually agreed to get Daniel a kart instead of a motorbike, and he would begin karting around the age of 9. He would start in the Tiger Kart Club at Wanneroo Raceway. Daniel would adopt the number 3 on his kart after one of his racing heroes, the American NASCAR star Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Dale comes on radio and says, "I'm going to be off the radio for a few minutes." And then you see Dale driving with his knee and got one head and he's cleaning the windshield off.
In his first weekend of midget class karting, Daniel would win his very first race and was obviously pleased with himself. A short 2 years later, Dan would win the 2000 Midget Division Championship. Daniel jokes that during this time he was racing people half his age with several years more experience. However, at the age of 11, not everything was about joking. During this time, Daniel was a rather timid and shy boy. He did not like conflict. While he would take opportunities that were open on track, he did not want to push the issue out of respect for older, more experienced drivers. One day, his father had taken a day off from the company he was trying to build in order to take his son to kart practice. Daniel was fast, but he spent the whole first session stuck behind 2 slower drivers, unwilling to push the issue to get past and make a more valuable use of his track time. Daniel's father was upset. He expected him to take advantage of the opportunities he was afforded and have the strength to push into uncomfortable situations. He packed up the kart and they went home before the second practice session. Young Daniel could sense how disappointed his father was and feared his career had just ended. Of course, it did not end that day, but it did inspire him to push himself to be more aggressive and deal with uncomfortable situations. Spurred on by his desire to improve, the expectations he felt from his father, advice given him from driving coaches, and the belief that if you raced the other drivers hard but fair, they would respect him on the track, Daniel began to put the quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," into practice. His calm and friendly demeanor was refuted by a fiery attitude on track. At age 13, his driving coach saw a video about the equally cute but fiery creature, the honey badger, and suggested it reminded him of Daniel. Thus, the honey badger moniker was born. The honey badger continued competing in karting divisions, showing his speed and skill, and in 2005, 15-year-old Daniel would compete in half the races of the Western Australia Formula 4 Championship in an equally old Van Diemen car. He would finish 8th in the championship, and towards the end of the year would lease a 13-year-old Van Diemen car to participate in the National Australia Formula 4 Championship. The speed and reliability of his car would not be sufficient, and Daniel would retire in most of his races. Daniel had grown up going to the Newman College Catholic school in Perth. However, during his time in high school, he realized his one true passion was racing, and if he wanted to pursue it, certain things had to change. Danny Rick would need a private tutor because he would win a scholarship with the Eurasia Motorsports team to race in the 2006 Formula BMW Asia Championship. In order to compete, he would move to Asia and get 2 wins and 12 podiums on his way to finishing 3rd in the championship. The year 2007 would see Dan moving to Italy. He had the support from his father and some other family friends in order to afford a year of racing. A sort of last-ditch effort where they didn't really have the money to support another year of racing in 2008. During the 2007 season, Daniel would need to attract the attention of a young driver's academy if he wanted to continue racing. This year was hard. He lived in a very small Italian town where he says he worked out, ate lunch, worked out, went to bed, and then raced on the weekends. He says he does feel he had to miss out on other typical teenager things, but he believed this is how all F1 hopefuls lived and trained, and he certainly did not want to complain. He would compete in the 2007 Formula Renault 2.0 Italy Championship for RP Motorsport. This was not the most competitive team on the grid, and he would only finish 6th in the championship. He did spend enough time near and amongst the better prepared Red Bull supported cars in order to attract the attention of the Red Bull team. At the end of the year, he would receive the opportunity to complete the Red Bull Junior evaluation test. He says in the test you had around 5 laps to show your ability, and it was really intense. But he performed well enough to sign a contract with Red Bull. With a Red Bull contract, Daniel would race in 2008. More than that, he would take 8 victories and 11 podiums on his way to winning the Formula Renault 2.0 Western European Cup Championship. He would also finish second in the Formula Renault 2.0 Euro Cup with 6 wins and 7 podiums. The year 2009 would see a 20-year-old Daniel participating in simulator and test driver work for the Red Bull F1 team, but it would also see him partnered with Carlin Motorsport in the British Formula 3 International Series, where he would take 13 podiums and 7 victories on his way to winning that year's championship. Late in the year, Daniel would race the Portugal weekend in Formula Renault 3.5 with the Tech 1 Racing team. This partnership with Tech 1 Racing would be extended into the next season, where he would race full-time in the series. Daniel was seen as one of the favorites coming 2010, but he had a rough start. There were 2 tests prior to the season starting, and a couple weeks prior, Dan would fracture his wrist in a mountain bike crash. To the ire of Helmut Marko, he was unable to drive the first test in Jerez. Fortunately, he would take pole in the first and second races of the year. He would get a podium in both, and would get his first win in round 5 at Monaco. He would finish the season second in the points with 4 wins and 8 podiums. In 2011, Daniel would again compete in the Formula Renault 3.5 series, running 13 of 17 races for the ISR Racing team, getting 1 win and 6 podiums, finishing 5th in the championship. More importantly, due to another successful Red Bull driver evaluation in 2010, Daniel was named as a reserve driver for the Toro Rosso F1 team. Midway through the year, Danny Ric was contracted by Red Bull to replace Narain Karthikeyan at the Hispania Racing F1 team for the last 10 races of the year. The 2011 season would see 28 drivers competing for points, and Daniel would finish the year ranked as 27th. However, the team now known as HRT was not known for speed, or even really reliability. In his 10 races, Ricciardo would have 2 DNFs and a best finish of 18th twice.
I'm Daniel Ricciardo from Perth, Australia, and I'm 22 years old.
On the 14th of December, it was confirmed that Daniel Ricciardo would partner Jean-Eric Vergne to drive for the Scuderia Toro Rosso in the 2012 Formula 1 season. His first race as a full-time F1 driver would be at home in the Australian Grand Prix. This race would be a telltale sign of what to expect from Ricciardo's career. Daniel speaks of how when he first entered Formula 1, the shy kid being intimidated by the experience surrounding him started to come out again. However, in this race, the Honey Badger would emerge. A fantastic closing lap battle between Daniel, his teammate Jean-Eric, and Force India driver Paul di Resta would see Daniel scoring 2 points, crossing the line in 9th. His career has been defined by being a positive and cheerful guy, but aggressive and determined on the track, the human metaphor for the Honey Badger. After Toro Rosso, he was promoted to Red Bull, and then after several years spent with Renault, he now drives for McLaren. So far, his career has seen 8 wins, 32 podiums, and countless brave moves on the track. His racing ability and personality has made him a clear fan favorite worldwide. While he generally shows interest in many forms of racing, I don't know where fans could expect to see Daniel after he decides he's done in Formula 1. He does still like to kart and supports local karting leagues around the globe, but I do know that thanks to Las Vegas, we can at least expect to see him on the grid again next year.
I was gonna retire. I will not know more.
So ever since my first pair of videos, I've tried to make each topic of the video have some sort of big or small connection to the subject of the preceding one. The subject of my next video can make some sort of connection or narrative parallels to each of the last 4 of my videos. And with spring happening in the Northern Hemisphere, I figure cover someone with a big connection to the month of May and birds. Then I fear if I try to give any other hints, I will make it extremely obvious, so be sure to guess in the comments below who you think I may be talking about. And as always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe so you can see when I make another. And I'll see you next time on Driver Profiles.